That night, something knocked on my shop door 3 times. But when I opened it, nobody was there. Just a cold wind and a brand new suit folded perfectly on my sewing table. A suit I didn't make. A suit sewn with a needle I didn't own. A suit in my size. That was the night I started locking the scissors in a Bible. They told me not to open it near the cemetery. Every single person I asked, from Dane, my girlfriend, to Mama Comfort, who sells a cara by the road, all of them said the same thing. Pere, no good thing comes out of land beside the dead. But land is expensive in Lagos. Me we be tailor. How much I day even make? So when I found a small space beside the old public cemetery in Ohuelegba, and the landlord said the rent was just $80K a year, my eyes lit up. I go manage I told Jason, my best friend, while we were fixing the signboard. Manage wetin? This one no be land we you suppose de manage-o, Jason said. I fit swear say I see person shadow for that side last night and breeze blow my wig comat. I laughed. I beg leave that thing. Not only poor man fear ghost. Truth is, I was scared, but hunger can bury fear. I named the shop Fine Finish Tailoring and More. The and more part was just for packaging. I didn't even know what the more meant, but it made the banner fine. I moved in on a Monday morning. By nightfall, I had arranged my sewing machine, pinned my tape to the wall, and stacked all my folded materials neatly. Around 9:30 p.m., I decided to sleep on the shop floor just for that first night. Dane had called me earlier. Why not come home, babe? She asked softly. You know this area isn't safe, especially at night, especially near that graveyard. I told her, I just want to feel the energy of the space. I want the ghosts to know say I no fear dem. She hissed and cut the call. I wasn't even mad. I was trying to prove something. I wanted the hustle to feel serious. But around midnight, I woke up. Not because of any sound, but because my body was cold. The kind of cold that doesn't come from fan or breeze. It came from inside my bones. Then I noticed something. My sewing machine was moving, very slowly, like someone was dragging the needle, but nobody was there. I sat up, rubbed my eyes. It stopped. I laughed. Pere, you don't de craze, just sleep abeg. But I didn't sleep. I prayed small, then covered myself with the same aso oak cloth I was supposed to sew for one woman named Genia. By morning, I had convinced myself it was just stress. Hey, story lovers. If you've ever had to choose between your dream and your fear, you understand exactly where I was. Subscribe now to Story and Soul for more spicy, suspenseful stories like this. Click the bell icon and tell me, have you ever spent the night in a place that didn't feel right? Back to the story. Still that same day. More madness. I decided to forget about last night. I opened my shop, arranged my thread basket, and started marking Genia's blouse on brown paper. Then around 11:45 a.m., a woman walked in. Tall, slim, black lipstick, ankle-length gown, no smile, no hello. She dropped a piece of white silk on the table and whispered, "Please sew this. I'll be back by 12 noon. Then she dropped a bundle of cash, $10,000 for a basic blouse, and walked out. I blinked. "Wait, madam," I called. She didn't answer. She didn't even look back. Jason entered 5 minutes later with puff, puff, and malt. "Guy, who be that babe we just waka come out here like wind?" I pointed at the money and the cloth. Jason picked the silk and sniffed it. "Why they smell like wet cement?" We both laughed it off. But the truth, I didn't sew the blouse. I couldn't. The fabric refused to cut. My scissors just bent like wire anytime I tried. I even used razor blade. Same thing. By 12 noon, the woman returned. On the dot. Stood by the door. Didn't enter. "You didn't sew it," she said. I just nodded. She smiled. "First time." "Good. That means you still have time." I said, "Time for what?" She turned and walked away again. I swear on my life I didn't understand anything. But my heart started beating somehow, like I had just escaped something and didn't even know it. The next day was Thursday. I remember because I had just updated my small chalkboard outside the shop. Thursday promo. 200 per blouse. Let's sew your shine. By 9 a.m., nobody came. By 10 a.m., still dry. Ojuelegba was loud as always. Horns, Okadas shouting, "Express, express," hawkers yelling, "Gala, cold drink." But my own shop was quiet like a burial ground. Funny thing to say, I know, seeing as I was literally next to one. Around 11:30 a.m., I dozed off on my work chair. You know that type of sleep we no get direction? Where your mouth go open small and your leg go hang like fishhook? That was the kind of tired I was, until the bell rang. Ting! I jumped up. Welcome, I said quickly, trying to fix my posture. Sorry, I was just... But the shop was empty. Nobody had entered, yet my door was slightly open, and my bell doesn't ring unless someone walks in. I stood still, tried to convince myself again, maybe wind or lizard, or bad hinge. But my eyes caught something strange on the sewing table. A note, folded like a wedding invitation. I walked slowly towards it, heart tapping my chest like generator starter. The paper was smooth. No name, no address, just one sentence written with blue ink. 3-button Senator, gray. Deliver by 12 noon sharp. Next to the note was a bundle of fine gray material and get this. 30,000 in cash. Exact. No overpayment. No rounding up. So 30,000. I swear on my tailor spirit, I didn't put it there. I didn't see anybody. I didn't hear footsteps. Just that bell. And now this money. Jason came in 10 minutes later, eating bread and sardine like thief. Who dashed you material again? He asked with full mouth. I didn't answer immediately. I just showed him the note. Jason read it, then looked at the cash, then looked at me, then looked at the graveyard behind my shop. He didn't say anything. Just slowly put the sardine bread back in the nylon. Guy, he whispered, are you sewing for spirits? I hissed. I beg no start. Pere, be serious. Nobody walk in. Yusef no see anybody. This thing no normal. But I needed that money. God knows I needed it. So I sat down, cleared my head, and started sewing. As I worked, the sewing machine began to feel different, smoother, like it was gliding by itself. No thread jam, no needle break, no chalk mistake. I finished the Senator by 11:54 a.m., placed it in a nylon bag, and waited. At exactly 12 noon, sharp like NEPA light switch, the bell rang again. Ting! I turned quickly. Still, nobody. But when I looked back at the table, the nylon bag with the Senator suit was gone. In its place, another note. This one read, well done. Expect more. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just kept hearing the bell in my head. Ting, ting. By the next week, I was making money like Jazz Boy. Every morning, I'd open my shop and find new fabric, new notes, and fresh cash on the table. Always anonymous. Always exact. Always gone by noon. Some nights, I'd even wake up to the sound of scissors moving by themselves. But when I looked, nothing. Stillness. Silence. It got to a point where I didn't even question it anymore. In Lagos, if money comes and the police isn't asking questions, you thank God and shut your mouth. But Jason didn't agree. One day he said, Pere, this your progress no normal. Every tailor I know de chase customer up and down. You na ghost de chase you with orders. I laughed. Customer na customer, dead or alive. But my laugh was dry, because deep down I knew something wasn't right. Then came the human customers, and they were just as strange. One afternoon, a woman walked in, young, rich-looking, smelling like coconut oil and jasmine. She wore a red lace wrapper and black shades, even though the sun had set. Do you sew for women? She asked. Yes, ma. Anything from blouse to bridal. She dropped a thick gold fabric on the table. I want a kaftan for burial. Oh, sorry for your loss, I said. She tilted her head. It's mine. I blinked. Ma? She smiled faintly. The burial is mine. Then she dropped 50,000 in crisp notes and left. No measurements, no further talk. By now I had stopped asking questions. But this one sat on my mind like bad soup. Another day, a man entered. Tall, pale, quiet. He removed his shoes before stepping on my shop floor. I need a native wear for Friday. I measured him, waist, chest, shoulder, but when I turned to measure his feet for the trouser length, I noticed something. His toes were blue, like they hadn't touched sunlight in months. He saw me staring and smiled. It's cold underground. I dropped the tape. Sir, what did you say? He laughed. Sorry, it's cold these days. He paid and left. His laughter echoed in my shop long after he'd gone. Even the bulb flickered. Soon, things got even stranger. My measuring tape began stretching on its own. Needles moved when I wasn't looking. One time, a full agbada sewed itself while I stepped outside to pee. I came back in and boom, finished and ironed on the chair. At first, I thought I was lucky, but the dreams began. I started dreaming of coffins wrapped in ankara, of mannequins crying blood, of my sewing machine turning into a coffin with buttons. One dream stuck with me. In it, I stood at my sewing table. Behind me was a queue of people, all dressed in white, all barefoot, all smiling. But none of them had eyes, just empty black holes where their eyes should be. They dropped money on the table, one by one, and whispered in unison, "Sew us, sew us, sew us." I woke up screaming. Dane rushed in. She had started sleeping over more often. "Pere!" You screamed. "Are you okay?" I held her tight, sweating. "No, I'm not." She looked around. "This shop doesn't feel safe." I looked at my machine. The light on it blinked once, twice, then stopped. The next morning, when I opened my shop, there was no note, no cloth, no money, just a small box. Wooden. Carved. Old. With my name on it, Pere Adebayo. I stared at it for 10 minutes, finally opened it. Inside was a measuring tape made of human hair, and a card. It's almost time. I thought I had seen madness before, but that box with my name on it changed everything. That morning, I sat staring at the measuring tape made of hair, human hair, rolled neatly like something from a witch's market. The air around me smelled like camphor and rust. I didn't tell Jason. I didn't tell Dane either. I just kept the box inside a drawer and locked it. Business had slowed down a bit. For the first time in 2 weeks, there was no money waiting on the table. No ghost note, no mystery fabric. I should have been relieved, but instead, I felt like someone had pressed pause on my heartbeat. By 10 a.m., I finally got a walk-in customer, a man in a clean white senator with gold buttons. He was tall, smooth-skinned, with that kind of gentle smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "Morning, boss," he greeted. "Morning, sir. What can I do for you?" He placed a bag on my table. "Fix the button." It fell off. I nodded. Simple job? But as soon as I touched the fabric, something shifted. The material was cold. Ice cold. Even though the day was hot enough to fry plantain outside, the senator felt like it came from a freezer. I tried to thread the needle, but my hands started shaking. Then I realized the cloth wasn't cuttable. My scissors wouldn't go through it. It just bent the blade like chewing gum. "Sir," I said, forcing a smile, "where did you buy this material from? It's quite strong." The man looked up and smiled, eyes blank. "Oh, it's not from here?" "Where? Balogun? Tejuosho?" He paused. "No, below." I froze. "What do you mean below?" He chuckled softly. "Tailor, don't worry yourself. Just fix the button. Even the dead deserve to look neat." Before I could ask anything else, he stretched his hand forward. And that's when I noticed. His fingernails were black. Not dirty black. Dead black. I swallowed hard. "Please come back later, sir. I need to get matching thread." He nodded slowly. "You always say that, Pere." I blinked. "Sir, do I know you?" He smiled again, stood up, and walked out. I followed him to the door, but when I stepped outside, he was gone. No car, no shadow, nothing. Just the distant hum of Ojuelegba traffic and the faint smell of wet soil. When I turned back into the shop, the senator was gone. Only the button remained, lying on the table, still spinning. That night, Dane came over. She had noticed how restless I'd become, how my hands kept trembling whenever I heard the sound of fabric tearing. "Pere, something is wrong with this shop," she said, sitting on the edge of the table. "Nothing's wrong," I lied. "Business is good." "Good?" she scoffed. "Since when does good business make a man jump every time wind blows?" I sighed. "You won't understand." "Try me." So I told her everything. The notes, the ghost orders, the woman who said the burial was hers, the cloth that wouldn't cut. When I finished, she was silent for a long time. Then she said quietly, "Let's close this place, please." "I can't," I replied. "You know how long I struggled to get this shop, my rent, my dream." "Your dream is inside a graveyard, Pere," she snapped. "Even the living don't visit that place at night." "Stop shouting," I said. "You think I can just pack and leave? Who'll refund me my money?" She stood up, grabbed her bag, and headed to the door. "Then keep sewing for them, but don't call me when the coffin lid closes." The door slammed behind her. The echo lingered. That night, I didn't lock up properly. I just sat staring at the empty chair across from me, thinking about what she said. Then, at midnight, ting, the bell rang. I froze. "Hello," I whispered. No answer. Then something brushed past my shoulder. Cold, like wind with bones. I turned. Nothing. But when I faced my sewing table, the drawer where I kept that box was open, and the measuring tape made of hair was gone. The next morning, I was tired, eyes red, hands shaky. Jason showed up around 9 a.m., waving puff puff again. "Guy, you look like death itself. You day all right?" I just nodded. He dropped his food and walked toward the wall mirror in the shop. "Pere, this your mirror no dey fine again, oh. Why eat a fog like this?" I looked up and almost screamed. Jason's reflection wasn't in the mirror. He was standing there. I could see him clearly in real life, but not in the reflection. I blinked hard, rubbed my eyes. The reflection shimmered for a second, then his image returned, blurry. Jason laughed. Guy, you need sleep. You day hallucinate. Maybe he was right, but something deep inside told me otherwise. Later that evening when he left, I locked the door and went to the back of the shop to dump trash. That's when I saw it. A faint trail of white chalk powder leading from my back door to the cemetery gate. My heart started pounding. I followed it slowly, step by step. The closer I got, the colder the air became. Then I saw them. 3 figures, all wearing clothes I recognized. The gray senator, the red lace, the white kaftan. They were standing near a grave, heads bowed, whispering something I couldn't hear. I wanted to run, but my legs refused to move. Then the woman in red turned around. Her lips moved, no sound came out. She lifted her hand and pointed straight at me. The other 2 turned too, and in one voice that sounded like many, they said, "Tailor, come and take your payment." I stumbled backward, fell, scrambled up, and ran. By the time I reached my shop, I was shaking so hard I couldn't find my keys. When I finally got in, everything inside had changed. The fabrics on the shelves were gone. The threads were gone. Even my sewing machine was missing. Only one thing sat on the table, a new sewing machine. Old, rusty, engraved with my name. And a note, "We trust you'll finish what you started." For the first time in my life, I cried like a baby. I packed my few clothes into a bag and ran straight to Dane's apartment. When she opened the door, she gasped, "Jesus, Pere, you look like someone dragged you from the ground." I fell to my knees. You were right about everything." She pulled me inside, made me sit, gave me water. Then, after I'd calmed a bit, she asked quietly, "What happened?" I told her. All of it. The chalk line, the 3 figures, the new machine. When I was done, she held my hands and said, "We need to see Pastor Mario." Mario? That man that speaks in tongues like thunder? Yes. My mother used to attend his church. He handles spiritual cases. I agreed. I was desperate. We went that night. Pastor Mario's church sat deep inside Tailoring, a small building with blue lights and posters everywhere that said, "Fire must fall." He listened quietly as I told my story. When I mentioned the graveyard, he didn't even blink. Finally, he stood up. "You have been trading with spirits," he said slowly. "They gave you wealth from the land of the dead, but every gift from the grave comes with a price." I swallowed. "What price?" He looked straight at me. "Your soul, Tailor. They don't want your money. They want your breath." Dane grabbed my hand. "Pastor, what can we do?" He sighed. "You must return what they gave you. Every single item, the machine, the money, even the clothes you sewed for them." "How do I return it?" I asked, voice shaking. "Take it back to where you first saw them, the graveyard, at midnight." Dane gasped. "Midnight? Pastor, are you mad? You want him to die there?" He raised a hand. "If he doesn't, he'll die anyway. They will come for him soon." The words hung heavy in the room, thus I looked at Dane. Tears were in her eyes. Then I said quietly, "I'll do it." That night, I packed the new sewing machine, wrapped it with white cloth, and put the old measuring tape beside it. At 11:45 p.m., I left Dane's house and walked back to the cemetery. The road was empty. Even the air was silent. When I reached the gate, the white chalk trail was there again, faint but visible. I followed it. The same 3 figures were waiting. The woman in red smiled. "You came back," she said softly. "Good Tailor." I dropped the bundle on the ground and stepped back. "Take everything," I said. "Just leave me alone." The man in the white kaftan bent down, touched the machine, and whispered something. The ground shook slightly. The machine began to sink, swallowed by the earth. Then he looked up at me. His voice echoed like thunder in a drum. "Debt not yet settled." I ran. Didn't stop, didn't look back. By the time I reached my shop, the sun was already peeking over the horizon. I slumped on the chair, gasping for breath, covered in sweat and dust. Then I noticed something. There was a fresh footprint on my shop floor. It led from the door to my sewing table, and on that table was another note. "Deliver by midnight. Cloth provided. Payment eternal." Hey, story lovers! Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel Story and Soul. Click that bell so the spirits don't sew your clothes at midnight without your permission. Drop your city in the comments. By now, the line between real life and spiritual market had completely blurred. I had returned the sewing machine. I had obeyed Dane. I had even fasted once. Me, Pere, fasting with pure sincerity. But they didn't stop. They didn't leave me. That morning, after dropping the final machine into the cemetery ground, I woke up to find a new note on my table. Deliver by midnight, cloth provided, payment eternal. The cloth was already there, a thick ash-colored velvet that shimmered like human skin in sunlight. The scent was indescribable, sweet, rotten like perfume and dead flowers. I refused to touch it. I sat in the corner of my shop, praying with cracked lips. God, if you day a beg, rescue your tailor. No be every talent dem suppose notice. Around 3 p.m., Jason came again. No puff this time. Just one bottle of Maltina and serious suspicion on his face. Pere, you day look like ghost we never finish NYSC, he said. Your neck don reduce. Your eye red like pepper. Wet and happen? I wanted to talk. I swear I wanted to confess everything. The final order, the cloth that felt alive, the note that shook my spine. But before I could open my mouth, we both heard a voice outside. Loud. Raw. Unfiltered. Tailor of the dead. They will sue you next. A madman had appeared outside my shop, barefoot, tattered shirt, eyes white like chalkboard. He screamed again, "They will sue you next! Your cloth is ready!" Then he dropped a small wooden comb on the floor and vanished. Like, actually vanished. Jason and I stood frozen. He turned to me slowly and whispered, "Bro, that madman just disappeared." I nodded. I saw it too. Jason walked out, picked the comb, and brought it in. There was something carved into it. Pere 12 of 1. Jason dropped it immediately. Mug Bay, they don't schedule you. We sat in silence. Even the fan stopped working. The air was heavy like punishment. Then Dane called. "Are you still at the shop?" she asked. "Yes. I just had a dream. You were sewing, but there was no thread. Blood was coming out of your machine instead." My lips dried. "What time was it?" She paused. "Midnight." We went to Pastor Mario that same evening. As soon as he saw the ash-colored cloth, he backed away like it was fire. "Don't bring this near me again," he said. "You've passed deliverance level. You're now on the line between life and beyond." "What do I do?" I asked, almost crying. He stared at me for a long time, then said quietly, "You will receive a visitor tonight. When he comes, do not accept anything from him. Not money, not praise, not even water." I swallowed. "What if I already accepted cloth?" He sighed. "Then your only chance is to refuse to complete it before midnight. If you finish that order, you will be stitched into their world forever." "But I don't want to sew for them again," I cried. "You already signed," Pastor said. "With your gift. The spirits don't need biro. They use your purpose as ink." I left his place shaking. Dane begged me to stay at her house, but I refused. "I have to go back. If I don't return the cloth, they may come for you too." She hugged me tight. "Prado, please don't let them win." I kissed her forehead. "Pray for me." Then I walked into the darkness. That night, I didn't touch the cloth. I sat far from it. I read Psalm 91 out loud, more like a rap than a prayer. Around 11:40 p.m., the lights blinked. Once, twice, then steady. Then the bell rang. Ting. I stood, slowly. A man stepped in, tall, black suit, shiny shoes, clean like someone on his way to give testimony in church. But his eyes were red, not bloodshot, just red, bright, steady, glowing. He smiled. "Pere the tailor," he said, "the one who stitches between worlds." I tried to speak, my throat locked. "I've come for my final order," he said, voice deep like thunder inside a cave. "The burial suit." He walked over to the table, touched the cloth gently, then brought out a gold envelope. "For your trouble," he said, 50,000. I remembered what Pastor Mario said, "Do not accept anything." I stepped back. He chuckled. "Smart boy, but let me show you something." He opened the envelope. Inside was a photo of me in a coffin, wearing the exact same ash-colored suit. I staggered. What is this?" He dropped the photo on the floor. "You will deliver the suit, Pere," he said, voice no longer polite, "or you will wear it." Then he turned and walked out. As he opened the door, the wind blew in violently, like something had been waiting to enter all night. The bell rang again. Ting. Then silence. It was now 11:50 p.m., 10 minutes to midnight. I stared at the cloth. It looked more alive now, like it was breathing, like it wanted me to touch it. My machine was already humming, and I hadn't touched it. I screamed, "Leave me alone! I don't want your money!" The lights blinked again. Then I saw something move by the mirror. Not in the real room, only in the reflection. A shadow, tall, with scissors in its hand. I didn't wait. I picked up the cloth, opened my door, and ran. I didn't care that it was late. I didn't care that Okadas were not on the road. I ran barefoot down Ojuelegba, through dirty puddles and shouting Malam boys. I reached the cemetery gate, and there, standing in front of a freshly dug grave, was the man in the black suit. He turned around. "This is your slot," he said. "Do your work." I threw the cloth at his feet. "I am not your tailor." He tilted his head. "You were, now you're the suit." He snapped his fingers, and the ground cracked. Hands came out, pulling, grabbing, scratching. I screamed, fought, clawed. Then a loud horn blared. Headlights, a car, blinding. "Daring!" She had followed me. The spirit man turned, hissed, the grave sealed, everything vanished. She ran to me. I was crying, shaking, sweating. "I told you not to go alone." We left the graveyard. The ash-colored cloth was gone. So was the photo. But the measuring tape made of hair was tied around my waist. Hey, story lovers! Before we enter the final part of this story, please subscribe-y, because what you're about to hear will make you sleep with the light on tonight. Now brace yourself. This is how it all ended. That night after Dane pulled me out of that graveyard, I couldn't sleep. Even when she begged me to rest, my body refused peace. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that ash-colored cloth, breathing like lungs. The next morning, Dane insisted I see Pastor Mario again. We reached his church by 8 a.m., but the gate was wide open and quiet. Too quiet. When I called out, "Pastor," no answer. We entered. Inside, the chairs were scattered, candles half burnt, and on the altar, a small paper lay under a Bible. It had my handwriting. My handwriting. "Deliver by midnight. Cloth provided. Payment eternal." Dane's hand trembled. "Pere, that's your writing." I shook my head. "No, it can't be. I didn't." Then she pointed to something else. On the paper under my name was a faint blood fingerprint. The pastor wasn't there. Nobody was. We left that place fast. By noon, I returned to my shop alone. I wanted to pack my things and leave Lagos for good. But the moment I stepped in, something felt off. The air smelled like iron, like rusted blood. My sewing table was gone. All the fabrics were gone. The shelves were empty. Only the mirror remained. The same one Jason once said looked foggy. When I looked at it, my reflection wasn't sewing. It was standing behind me, smiling. I spun around. Nothing there. But when I looked back again, my reflection raised a measuring tape made of human hair. And then the mirror cracked. Crack! Pieces flew everywhere. Behind the broken glass, I saw something like another room. A faint image of the same shop, but darker, colder. And inside that version of the shop, someone was sewing. Someone who looked exactly like me. He didn't look up. He just kept sewing a suit, ash-colored. And when he finished, he folded it neatly, placed it on the table, and pinned a note on it. The note read, "For Pere." I screamed. The glass shattered fully. I fell backward, hit my head. When I opened my eyes again, the shop was empty. The signboard outside, "Fine Finish Tailoring and More," was gone. Only one thing remained written on the wall, scratched in chalk like claws. Payment received. I ran to Dane's apartment like a madman. I banged her door till she opened. She gasped when she saw me. "Pere, what happened to your face?" "My shop is gone," I said, panting. "Everything. Something is in my reflection." She held my face, trembling. "Breathe. Talk slowly." I did. After hearing everything, she sat quietly and said something that froze my bones. "Pere, I don't think you made that shop by mistake. I think it was waiting for you." "What do you mean?" "I've been thinking," she continued softly. "Remember that accident the day you opened the shop?" I frowned. "What accident?" She looked away. "Pere, your Keke had crashed that morning. They said the driver died instantly." My mouth went dry. "No, I walked away from that crash. I just had small scratches." She shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "I saw the body, Pere. You never walked away." The world around me started spinning. I held my head, trying to remember. The crash, the crowd, the smell of fuel. Yes, I did feel something cold then, like I was falling but never hit the ground. I whispered, "So I died?" Dane covered her mouth, crying. I didn't want to believe it, but everything started after that day. The graveyard shop, the ghost customers. "Pere, you've been sewing for your own people." My knees gave way. I fell to the floor. The air felt heavy. "I can't be dead," I said quietly. "I still breathe." She touched my hand gently. "Cold," she said, "like ice." I looked down. The measuring tape made of hair was back, wrapped around my wrist like a bracelet. That night, Dane refused to let me sleep alone. We prayed, cried, even played worship music on full volume. By 2 a.m., she finally dozed off. I sat by the window, staring at the moon. That was when I heard the bell. Ting! I froze. Ting! Again. Then the voice came. Soft, deep, familiar. Pere the tailor, time to deliver. I looked at the doorway. The man in the black suit stood there, calm, smiling. Behind him were all the people I had sewn for. The woman in red lace, the man in white caftan, the one in gray senator. All of them, lined up, faces glowing pale. You sewed for us, Pere, the man said. Now sew your own. I shook my head. No, I refuse, he smiled wider. Refusal doesn't stop the needle. He raised his hand. The air became cold. The sewing sound began again, but this time it came from inside my chest. I screamed. Dane woke up, rushed to me. Pere! What's happening? The measuring tape tightened around my arm, pulling me toward the door. Dane, don't come close, I shouted. She tried to grab me, but her hand passed through mine. She gasped. Oh my God! Run, I shouted. Don't look back! The door flung open by itself. The graveyard wind blew in, smelling of wet sand and silence. And then everything went black. Morning. Dane woke up on the floor of her living room. The curtains were torn, and Pere was gone. She ran to the shop street. The space where fine finished tailoring and more used to stand was now an empty plot of sand. No building, no walls, no foundation, just dust. She started crying. Then a small boy from the area came running with something in his hand. Auntie, I see this for ground. It was a tape measure. She took it. It was the same one, made of hair. But this time the words had changed. Thank you for keeping him warm. She dropped it instantly. Weeks later, people in Ojuelegba began to whisper. At night, drivers said they saw a dim light near the old cemetery. A tailor shop glowing faintly with a man sitting behind a machine, humming quietly. When they called out, Tailor, he'd look up, smile, and vanish. And every morning, the ground near the cemetery gate would be covered with freshly sewn clothes, folded neatly with small notes that read, For the Forgotten. 2 months later, Jason, my old friend, visited the spot. He had refused to believe the stories. He came with a camera to record proof. But the footage he took that night never uploaded. Only one still frame survived. It showed a faint figure, sitting behind a sewing table, smiling at the camera. The wall behind him had the words, Fine finished tailoring and more, since 2023. Jason swore he never saw any wall when he was there. He deleted the footage that same night. Sometimes Dane still dreams of me. She says I appear behind her sewing machine at home, smiling, whispering softly, measure twice, sew once. Then I vanish before dawn. They say my shop still opens at midnight when the world goes quiet. The bell still rings, the scissors still shine. And the dead still need to look good for their journey. So if you ever walk past Ojuelegba Cemetery late at night and you hear a bell that rings only once, don't answer, because it means your fitting is ready. Hey, story lovers, if you made it to this point, you're braver than me. Would you have opened that shop? Or would you have left the dream alone? Tell me what you think about Pere's choices. Do you agree with Dane or Pere? And please, check the right corner of your screen right now for more Story and Soul episodes. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we feed your soul with amazing African tales. Don't forget to hit subscribe, like, share, and comment your favorite moment. I love you. See you soon.